I worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 17 years. Okay, I was a college beat writer and then an NBA writer and and a general sports columnist and all of that other stuff. 17 years I was there, and they never won a championship. And they had been to the Super Bowl. They hadn't been to the Super Bowl until they got there against Jacksonville in 2004. They hadn't been there since 1980, and they had never won a Super Bowl championship in the franchise's history. We are 3 years removed from this man delivering the Super Bowl championship. And by the way, they had been to the playoffs the previous 3 years. And then all of a sudden, things collapsed this year, and he's out. I just feel like it's something that rubs me the wrong way about this. Carson Wentz was awful. Howie Roseman needs to be held accountable for it. We get all of that. Even though I would give him and Doug Pederson a chance to come back and make amends. They were awful. But for Doug Pederson to be the lone dude that received the pink slip, I just got a problem with that right now. I mean, listen, it's Philadelphia. And Philadelphia was starving for a Super Bowl championship for folks' entire lives. And after, for the first time in the franchise history, he delivers a Super Bowl championship, and 3 years later, he's out of a job? There's something about that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't think that was the right decision. I think it was more about Carson Wentz. And I'm not saying that Pederson deserves to be absolved. I'm not saying any of them deserve to be devoid of being held accountable. But they have earned the right to come back and make amends for a one-year debacle. And I think they should have been granted that, and I was unfortunate that they weren't.
As a Giants fan, I wish they were. I hope they bring them all back and keep them as long as possible. Great. That'd be great for me as a Giants fan. I have no problem with Pederson getting the pink slip. My problem is Howie Roseman didn't also get one. I understand it's hard to move Carson Wentz's atrocious contract, but when you want to look at the common denominator of the problems, it's Carson Wentz. Who did Pederson win that Super Bowl with? Wentz didn't play in any playoff games. None. Zero. That was Nick Foles. And the following year, with that valiant title defense, it was Nick Foles who took over the team. They were 5-6, caught fire, made the playoffs, went on the road to Soldier Field, beat the Bears, who a lot of people like to get out of the NFC that year, and then went to Drew Brees' house and came one Alshon Jeffrey drop away from getting to the NFC Championship game. I mean, if you're going to defend your title, that's how you do it. All Nick Foles. Matter of fact, even last year, look at how Josh McCown, a one-legged 40-year-old quarterback, how did he perform in the playoffs? They lost to Seattle by the same exact score that they'd lost to Seattle in Week 12 with Carson Wentz as the quarterback. And now how about Jalen Hurts? How have the Eagles looked since Jalen Hurts took over? They look good. Pederson knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. There's one guy who's resisted him. There's one guy who's willfully wanted to do it his own way. We've talked about that on this show a lot, and that's Carson Wentz. That's the common denominator. Look at the immovable contract. Who gave him that contract? That's Howie Roseman, the same guy who can't draft. 5 years, half a decade since he's drafted a Pro Bowler. Who was Wentz, by the way? Half a decade since he's drafted a Pro Bowler. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. Rager over Justin Jefferson. And they have cap issues. Their cap is a mess. So how is Roseman still there? If Pederson gets the pink slip, Pederson's got to go, because he never asserted himself when he could have. Even what I've heard is he was still fighting to try to fix Carson Wentz. But maybe that's because you're married to the guy. You can't get rid of him. No one wants that stinking contract. For that reason, Roseman had to go along with Pederson. Pederson shouldn't be the only guy fired.
No, he shouldn't have been fired. And it's because, number one, I got to tell both of y'all, I played for the Cowboys. And like Stephen A. reminds me, between 2005 and 2013, I played for 3 head coaches in Dallas. Went to the playoffs twice, and that was with Wade Phillips. These dudes don't grow on trees. Doug Pederson didn't all of a sudden become a bad coach All right. He didn't all of a sudden forget how to get a team ready to play and get them to perform at a high level. I want anybody to show me a team with a quarterback playing as bad as Carson Wentz that won a lot of games. Somebody show me one in the history of the league. And then you look at all of the things that transpired. They had 13 different, Sal Powell was on earlier. He came on our show yesterday. 13 different combinations on this offensive line. Mike McCarthy just got a pass because of all the attrition and the year of COVID and all of these things. And you telling me the Philadelphia Eagles fired Doug Pederson after what Stephen A. just said, brought a Super Bowl, put a statue of him and Nick Foles out there. Last year, took them to the playoffs with a team that was beat up as well. And then this year, everything came to a head with this record because your quarterback couldn't play. Like, that's the honest truth. Now, here's what I will say. I said Doug Pederson, after the Washington game, I said the only way Doug Pederson should be fired is if he lost the locker room. If a lot of these guys are returning, don't have faith that their coach is going to put them in the best possible situation to win games. And you could argue that. I wasn't mad about the decision to play Safel in the game against the Washington football team because it didn't matter anyway. Doug Pederson ain't give a damn about helping the Giants or the Cowboys or anybody else. But the point being is you have two overall conversations transpiring. Can Doug Pederson coach? Yes. You answer that question. Did Doug Pederson have success in Philly? Yes. Does Super Bowl coaches get a pass? Yes. Mike McCarthy, the damn head coach in Dallas right now because of a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Nobody else was kicking the door down to hire Mike McCarthy. Doug Pederson will find himself a job pretty soon here, I'm sure. The other part and the caveat and the thing that is the reason why Doug Pederson was fired, number one, to Max's point, and Max, you've been right on this all along, they appease to Carson Wentz. Doug Pederson is gone because of Carson Wentz. That's the reason he got fired. And the other one, I don't know this. I'm not in the inner workings of this franchise. If he lost the locker room, I'm talking about guys that's going to have to come back and play very important parts for this team, then you have to move on. If it's falling on deaf ears, either you move on from the coach or you get rid of those players that won't listen to the message.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.